respect the camera, okay? Be my little angels, okay? So let's go back. I gotta unfreeze. Now the good news is I'm not teaching you this whole lesson. You only need to know the first couple of things about it, and then you'll be ready to do those 3 problems that are on your practice test. Real quick, this is really important. You know that your practice test is due tomorrow. You also know that I emailed you. Hopefully you're checking your email. I email you guys like almost every day, or maybe sometimes, yeah, I emailed you a couple of times because I realized that I accidentally uploaded the geometry practice test answers. Possibly, I don't have them memorized, so I'll go over them in a second. But I uploaded all of my work. I don't want Chromebooks open right now. I uploaded all of my handwritten notes and work. It's 17 pages long for your practice test. So you know the thing that you're getting a grade on based on completion tomorrow? I did it for you and put it on Canvas. So if anybody comes to my class tomorrow and says, I didn't do it, okay? So please don't make me lose my mind. You know what's scarier than me like yelling? Is me getting the crazy face. You don't want to bring this crazy face. Okay? Shh. We don't want to see Mrs. Light's crazy face. It's scary. Ask my kids. The crazy face is scarier than the yelling face. Okay? So.
The yellow face?
The yelling face. Okay? Listen. So everybody has access. Uriah, focus. Everybody has access to this. And I also don't want to hear, well, I lost my paper, so I couldn't do it. My dog ate it. I put the PDF file up on Canvas. So you will have it done. You will have it completed, and you will have all of them shown. Also, put a big X through number 6. It is yucky. I don't like it. It's a terrible question. We're not doing it, and it will not count on your test. I will grade the test out of 15 instead of 16. It will not be extra credit because I don't even think that it's a good question for you to do. Yeah.
So where are the notes and going through it?
So what
Did you email it to us, or is it?
No, I didn't. I just emailed you to let you know that it was up on Canvas. On Canvas, I added a module that says practice test materials. Underneath, it has the practice test, which is the PDF file, which is the paper that you guys already have. Underneath it, it says something like practice test answer key, all work shown, or something like that. That's mine. It's 17 pages. You don't have to do 17 pages of work. You just have to show that you did it and show the work.
Are each of them numbered for like each?
Oh, are you kidding me? Don't you think I numbered them? Yeah, I didn't write all over the paper.
Download them and like
Oh, and then show me them tomorrow? I think I might recognize the handwriting, especially if it's 17 pages long.
Wait for effort?
No, 0 for trickery. Okay, so let's do this lesson. In my other classes, no, just one other class, I was actually able to give them some time at the end of the period to work on their practice test in class. So let's see if we can get through these few examples. If we can't, it's okay. And if there's anything you didn't understand from today, watch the video later. Hi. Okay, here we go. Absolute value. Tell me what absolute value means. It's pretty simple. Yes.
Oh, so there's no negatives whatsoever, so it's like the positive of the number.
Yes, it's the positive version of any number or expression. Okay? So what's the absolute value of -5?
5.
Good. What's the absolute value of +5?
Positive 5.
Oh, -5.
Oh,
Wait, absolute value means
no. Yes.
Negative.
It feels weird, right? Okay. Be nice. Listen, it feels like it should be the opposite, right? But it's not. Absolute. Think of the word absolute. It's we use absolute value when we are adding positive and negative numbers. We have to determine which sign to take. I know you guys are like, oh, I don't do that anymore. I just plugged it into my calculator. Well, you should know it, Jocelyn. Can you sit up? Please, you look a little sleepy. We know that in order to know what sign to take, the positive sign or the sign from this number or the sign from this number, do I make it negative or positive? We have to look at the bare absolute value, which means we close our eyes to see if it's negative or positive, and we just assume that it's positive. That's what absolute value is. Now, we're going to solve expressions with absolute value. Don't look at this for a second, just look at this. We've got 7 equals the absolute value of x plus 2. I've got great news for you. The first thing we can do is pretend that there's no absolute value there. Because we really can just simplify it first, right? If we have to find out the value for x inside that absolute value, I can do that later. First, I want to remove this 2, right? So I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. And I get 5 equals, not x, 5 equals the absolute value of x. Now, tell me what x equals.
1.
Positive.
Positive.
Uriah.
5 and negative
5 and negative 5.
Oh,
Don't worry,
yes.
Uriah, we got that on film,
Well,
that was good, okay? So 5 and negative 5. Can somebody explain, I know he was the one who got the answer, but somebody explain to me why that's true, Angelina.
Because x equals 5, and so this absolute value
Yeah, because the absolute value of 5 would be 5, and the absolute value of negative 5 would be 5. So x is 5 and negative 5.
We should get negative 5.
Because,
The absolute value of negative 5 is 5. So basically, the absolute value of x, since 5 equals x, it would be both of them. So it would be negative 5 and 5. Because the absolute value of negative 5 is 5.
so, when we have a missing number, I know, that was, it was a wonderful explanation, it was just all very quick, so let's slow it down. Let's back it up. Because sometimes this is just, we need a second for our brains to catch up, okay? Hold on. If we're looking for a missing number, this missing number, after it's absolute valued, okay, I just made absolute value a verb. It's not a verb, but I made it a verb just to explain it. We're gonna absolute value the heck out of x, okay? We're gonna absolute value this x. So that means that this, whatever number this is going to be absolute valued, which means whatever number this is, we're going to take the positive version of it, and it will equal 5. And that means that x can have 2 values, or x does have 2 values. A positive 5, because if you put a 5 in here as their value for x, and then you absolute value that, you'll get a positive 5. If you put a negative 5 in here, and then absolute value that, you get a positive 5. So do you agree that both of those numbers work for the value of x? I know.
So you're just writing 5 and negative 5 to show that?
Yeah, so you could write it like this, x equals 5, and x equals negative 5. You could also write x equals 5 and negative 5. It doesn't matter which one you put first, if you put negative 5 first and then 5 next. But yeah, we're gonna be dealing with our missing number having more than one value, okay? Sometimes it'll just be the positive and negative version of that same number. Yes, go ahead.
Are we gonna have to make charts like that?
Yes, it can, but they'll be 2 different, yeah.
Are we gonna have to make it in charts like this, like the line?
They're just showing you on this graph, you're not gonna have to graph this now. All right. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you guys the honest truth. This is the easiest equation you'll see.
Oh, yeah.
The next ones are totally doable, Lily. I want you to pay attention, okay? Are you trying to figure this one out?
What? No.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say we just did it over here. This one's the easiest one because there's only one little bitty missing number inside the absolute value. Then we're gonna have something like this. We're trying to find the value of x when it's involved in an expression that is being absolute valued.
Can you see if it's right? Because
I will, but the best way to do it is I need to continue with the class, and then as we do it, you can check that answer and you can let me know if you got it right, okay? So, if the missing number that we're trying to find is inside an expression, there's just a little extra step that we have to do. Okay. Now, I should also tell you this. The book does it in a way that is totally correct, but it doesn't really explain why it does it, and I'm going to explain why. I also should tell you that when I worked it out on my own with the practice test, that I did it my own way, which is not the way the book did it. So if you don't like the way that I did it, you don't have to do it my way. You can do it the book's way, okay? But I'm going to explain both ways. I just want you to know.
Yeah.
I just want you to know. Well, you'll see. So 2x minus 3, the absolute value of that is going to equal 1. So whatever this is, do you agree that this expression as a whole is either positive or negative? Do you agree that what's inside absolute value has to be either positive or negative? Just like we said, well, if the absolute value of x is 5, then x has to be either 5 or negative 5, or I should say it's both 5 and negative 5. Both of those values work. Here, we have a whole expression being absolute value. So, we're actually going to write two different equations. We're going to break it up into two different equations. One that represents the positive form of this expression, and one that represents the negative form of that expression. So over here, I'll simply write my positive one, 2x minus 3 equals 1. That was easy, right? I just took exactly what it says here, and I wrote it. Easy. Now, when you write the negative version, this is what it actually looks like. Before the book just skips a step and doesn't explain why, this is what is actually happening. If I have to make a negative version of an expression, I'm certainly going to need parentheses to protect, so that I'm showing that this entire expression needs to be represented as negative.
Wait, but then 2x would be negative, but it doesn't
No.
show as negative.
Are you looking at what the book is doing?
Yeah.
Don't look at that. I'm doing it my way, and then I'll show you how the book got it that way. They're both correct, they'll both get the same answer. Yes.
So at first, the absolute value thing doesn't do anything. It just, at the very end it does.
It's not that it doesn't do anything, it's what we're doing is we're actually recognizing it first off. We're not just ignoring it, we're saying, well, if this expression, the answer to this expression has to be absolute valued to get this number, that means I need a positive version of it and a negative version of it. Because when we're doing absolute value, you could either have a positive number or a negative number being absolute value, right, to get the positive, right? Okay, Jack, wake up. So, I wrote my positive version here. Super easy to write the positive because it literally looks exactly like this. You just drop the absolute value. That's my positive version. My negative version looks like this. And you have two options on how you want to handle this negative. One option is to distribute. You can distribute your negative, which simply means each term in here is going to get a different sign. So you have your negative 2x plus 3 equals 1. That's how I solved it on the practice test that I put on Canvas. But if you don't like that, that's fine. The book does a shortcut way, and it's totally fine that this is how they get it. Okay. That's what I did. And you can solve it, and it'll work. I'll prove it to you. Minus 3 equals, minus 3 minus 3, negative 2x equals negative 2. Divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2, and you get x equals 1. which is what they got, okay?
But they have
You
to
went
flip it.
really fast. Not the first.
Sorry, I'm just solving like algebraically, which is what we've been doing since day one. I just did that part fast. The reason I did that fast, I just want to prove to you that distributing your negative is going to get you the same answer that the book did, even though their equation is different.
So the answer is just x.
The answer is 1, because 2 divided by 2, negative 2 divided by negative 2 is 1. Okay?
It's not like 1x, it's just x equals 1.
Yes. Okay. Now, the other way, if I choose not to distribute my negative, I could move my negative to the other side. That's what they did. They decided, I don't like the negative over here, so they moved it to the other side. Now, there's really no property to just say, oh, you can just move a negative. You can't just move it. It's not a rule. But you can algebraically do the division property of equality to move it. What do I divide by?
-1.
Did you say that? Great job. -1. Or you can even just say you're divided by a negative. I know it's not the most interesting lesson, but you've got to stay awake, okay? I really want you to pay attention. You guys don't need to turn around just talking to somebody. You just need everybody to stay awake in here, okay? So, Brianna said divide by a -1, which is totally true. If that confuses you, you can just say divide by a negative. Because when you divide by a negative on both sides, or divided by -1 on both sides, your negatives cancel out. And now look, I have my positive form, which is what they used over here,
It's -1.
and it makes it a -1. So what they really did is they said, well, I know that I need a positive form of this and a negative form of this, but I'm going to keep my expressions positive, and I'm going to make a positive form of my 1 and a negative form of my 1 by dividing by the negative and moving it to the other side. And that's totally fine. You can distribute it, or you can move the negative. Yes?
It's kind of hard to see over here.
Can you guys scoot your table over? It's just really far away. There you go. Keep going. Angus, you gotta move your chair, bud. All right. So, we did the hard one first, and we got, so when we divide and we move that negative, we get 2x minus 3 equals -1, just like they have up here. This part I'm gonna do fast because I gotta move through. Plus 3, cancel. 2x equals 2, thank you. Divide by 2 on both sides, and you get x equals 1. Okay, so again, got the same answer. There are just a couple of different ways to do it. They're all using the same method. It's just kind of like how you go about it. Okay, so we have x equals 1. Let's solve this easy one. This is our positive version. Plus 3, cancel. 2x equals 4. Divide by 2, and you get x equals 2. So, you know how before, when we got our answer, and it was positive 5 and negative, what was it, positive 5 and -5. And so you might be thinking, oh, well, anytime it's absolute value, you'll just get a positive and negative form of the same answer. Only when that missing number is by itself in the absolute value. But if you have an expression in the absolute value, you will most likely get 2 different numbers as your values for x. And all that means is both of these numbers will work when you plug them in. I can prove it to you, okay?
You can?
Yes. X is 2, x is 1. Let's see. 2 times 2 minus 3, absolute value of that. Let's see, does that equal 1? First I'm plugging in my 2. I get 4 minus 3, that equals 1. Absolute value of 1 is 1. True. All I did was plug in my 2 for my x. 2 times 2 is 4, 4 minus 3 is 1. Absolute value, I should do the absolute value all the way down. Absolute value of 1 is 1. Good? Let's try.
I thought it
First
was
things I got
111.
Okay.
I thought it was 111.
No, absolute value. Okay, now I'm gonna plug in my 1 and make sure it works. Hold on. 2 times 1 is 2, minus 3. Absolute value of 2 minus 3 is?
-1.
Is negative 1. Absolute value of negative 1 is?
1.
1. Does it work?
Yes.
Good. So we just proved that both values for x,
Why?
2 and 1,
Why
Are
is
correct.
that -1?
because 2 minus 3.
3, basically, if you take 3 away from 2, there's still 1 extra, so you can use 3.
Well, you have to multiply first.
Well,
Well, it's like you're
explain
saying,
that.
it's like you're saying that you, oh, it's like you,
You took $3.
it's like you're saying that somebody
Oh, I see what you're
has-
saying. You were explaining the negative part.
it's like-
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
You're saying that somebody has $2 and you're asking.
But also
for
then,
Sometimes understanding positive and negative when you think about money is the best way to understand it, like going into debt. It's hard when when you're little and you're learning about like addition and subtraction. I always teach my kids, if you have 5 cookies and somebody gives you 2 cookies, that's positive. But with money, it's better to understand
if you're in
positives and
debt with
negatives.
money, that's pretty bad.
Like you, well, no. Okay.
Again.
One more. One more. Yes.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Like, they just do
Nope. You can't distribute with absolute value.
that's not fair. So you distributed the negative.
But that was after I removed the absolute value. All right, so this one is not that complicated. So let's just go along with it. Is everybody good so far? I see a lot of pretty colors, but are you taking notes and following along? Okay, good. All right, so I'm gonna write this over here. 3 times the absolute value of x plus 6 plus 8 equals 5. So that's what I'm writing. What is the value of x in this expression? 3 times x plus, times the absolute value of x plus 6 plus 8 equals 5. Now, real quick, let's look at our operations here. We can't do anything inside here because it's protected by the absolute value right now.
Meaning.
But outside of it, we have a 3. I already said it a couple of times, but what operation is that?
No.
What operation? Not property. Distributive is a property. Operation is multiplication, division, addition, subtraction, square roots, that whole.
Multiplication.
Multiplication, you're right. So you are recognizing that it kind of looks similar to like when it's a parentheses, but it doesn't mean the same thing. What we're noticing is that 3 is next to an expression. When a number is next to something else, it simply means multiplication, right? We don't use like, 3 times the absolute value. We can't use that as a multiplication symbol anymore. We're in algebra. It's going to look like a variable, right? So anytime you see it next to something, it's being multiplied. Now I know you guys are like, please, can we use the distributive property?
No.
No, because these aren't parentheses. It's absolute value.
Questions from you.
Yeah. Okay. What else is happening here? An 8 is being added. Can we do something about that?
Yes.
Yeah.
-8, and then -5.
Minus 8 from both
Yeah,
sides.
that's what I meant.
3 times the absolute value of x plus 6 equals
-3.
-3. Now what can we do?
-3.
No,
No, we can't.
no, because didn't we all just agree that this is being multiplied?
But you just
Plus
said that.
3 on
Divide. Wait, what's wrong, Jacob?
divide.
You just said that we couldn't do that because it's not parentheses.
We're not distributing.
Just
I'm-
said we're-
No, I didn't say we're distributing. I said we're dividing by 3 now. If this is being multiplied by this, which it is, I cannot simplify it by distributing. Because you cannot distribute into absolute value. They're not
Because
parentheses.
that's absolute value.
It's an absolute value.
It's a line. not a
So instead of distributing to try to simplify it, I'm going to say, well, if this whole thing is being multiplied times 3, and I want to simplify that, I'll divide it by 3 to cancel out my 3. It's just using the distributive property of equality. If you divide by the same thing on both sides, the equal sign stays true. So now we still have our absolute value of x plus 6 equals -1.
So the stuff inside the absolute value doesn't get put.
Nope. Now here is the kicker. Wouldn't you love for me to just tell you that we're just done solving this problem?
No, they don't have to.
Wouldn't you love for me to tell you that we are done solving this problem? Wouldn't it be nice?
Wait, I got a question.
I've got something to tell you. We are done solving this problem. We are done. We are not touching this. You wanna know why? Why can't we touch this problem anymore?
Because it was a absolute value.
No? Well, yes, but more specifically, why can't we do anything about this?
Because there's an absolute value and there's a negative.
Yes, yes. Pick a candy, that was genius, okay? Because she's saying that whatever's inside here, if you absolute value it, there's no way in heck you're gonna get a negative number. So what do we do when something is impossible to solve
We
for a
just
value?
leave
No
it.
solution.
We just
We
leave
say it's no solution. Very good. Good job, Belle. Carmine, you were so close. We do just leave it, but we do have to, we do give an answer, we give an explanation. There's no solution. Good job. Okay, so I know when you're gonna see something like this on your homework or something. Wait, do you have homework? You don't even have homework from this lesson. You guys are good.
Nice.
When you see that, and you're like, ooh, so do I have to do like x plus 6 over here, and then like a negative x plus 6 over here? Nope, you just go, hey, that's negative. I can't get a negative answer if something's being absolute valued. It's impossible. There's no solution. Meaning there is not one single number in the entire universe that I can plug in to make this statement true. It's not true. No, it's impossible.
But why can't you divide by 3 right here?
Sorry.
I can divide by 3.
No, like with the 6 Just put like over the 6.
This, okay, picture absolute value as being, as acting like how, you know how parentheses protect? Absolute value, if there's an expression in it, also protects. So, it's kind of like absolute value and kind of like parentheses at the same time.
Jail cell.
So, when you divide by 3, you're only dividing this by 3. This is protected.
That's the outside world, that's the jail cell. That's
Yeah. Okay, now I'm ready for you guys to try A, B, and C on your own.
The ones that we were trying to do this morning.
Yes.
Alright, the
The
new.
one that you thought was your year down.
Oh, I already did A.
Okay. Yes, but you don't put that in an absolute value. You would just write that. Yeah.
I meant to do it on the X.
Thanks. Yes. Well, you're nervous when you see that I'm looking at your notes and your notes aren't totally. Right, but did I write more than that or that exact amount? Yeah, that's why I was scaring you a little bit, right? I didn't do anything to scare you, you just got scared because you know you were getting caught, you're not so many notes. I know you want to sit back there, but if you need help making sure that you're taking notes and being on task, I can move your seat.
That's like your number answers.
You got them?
Yeah, what's
Here, let me see. Wouldn't A just be
A,
four?
B, C.
A, B, you actually have to get 2 values for the value of X, and same for C. There are 2 values, I'll give you a hint, there's not one of them is a no solution one. There are 2 values for each one. Hello, this is Liz.
I'm in trouble.
Oh, yes, sorry.
Are you in trouble?
No, yeah, I just started a teacher, they have me do attendance. So you cannot, yeah, you cannot, remember, absolute value is protection. You cannot simplify anything from inside the absolute value. You have to set the whole expression equal to, you have to set the whole expression, a positive version and a negative version. You got it?
But we didn't do that for this one.
The only thing that you don't have to do it for is A, because X is by itself. So, is this A? That's correct. Where's B? That is not, and C is, one of these is correct. This is correct, but you didn't do two forms of the equation, that's why you only got one of them.
Two forms.
Not two forms, but the two, I just can't read upside down.
Wait, so is that the
That's
answer to that
A,
one?
that's correct. That's not correct. And C is also not correct.
So it's the positive one.
Well, and then we get 2 forms.
All right, guys, I can see we're having a little bit of trouble, so we're gonna go over them together, okay? Do you agree that A is pretty simple, right? What'd you guys get?
8, x is equal to 8 and negative.
Yes. Is there anybody who still is having trouble on A? Don't be shy, I'll go over it. For A is 8 and negative 8. Everybody get that?
What's B?
Did anybody just put negative 8? It's okay. Did anybody have no idea what I'm talking about? Okay, so let's solve it. 6 equals the absolute value of x minus 2. Am I allowed to simplify?
Yes.
Yes, because it's not involved inside the absolute value.
Plus 2.
Yep, plus 2, plus 2. I don't need to do two different versions of the equation because I don't have a whole expression inside here. I just have a variable. So, cancel, and I get 8 equals the absolute value of x. That means that x equals 8, or I should say and negative 8. Both of those will work. All right. All right, let's go to B. I'm going to tell you right now, for B, if anybody wants to check their answer, the answer is negative 7 and negative 3. Did anybody get that? No? Okay, let's do it together. What's the first thing that we do? Do not tell me to subtract 5.
You can't.
Raise your hand if you subtracted 5. That's okay. I want to know. It's okay. It's okay. All right. That would probably be like the first mistake. You cannot simplify from inside the absolute value. Okay?
Minus 2.
What? No. That's my next question. Who did minus 2 on both sides? Oh my goodness. Guys, remember we just did? How do we solve? How do we go backwards if this expression is being multiplied
We
by
need to do
2?
the negative and the positive areas, right?
Not yet. First, we're simplifying, we're getting rid of this 2, okay? Once we get the absolute value expression by itself, then we'll do that. We divide by 2 on both sides. Now we have the absolute value of x plus 5 equals 2.
Whoa.
Here is where you break it up into 2 separate equations. We'll do the positive version over here, x plus 5 equals 2, and the negative version over here, which would be negative x plus 5 equals 2, which means we can divide by a negative, and then we get x plus 5 equals negative 2. So just like the book was showing you, here's our positive version, which looks exactly like this, and our negative version, which we kind of transfer the negative form of this over to the other side by dividing.
In this case, you could just subtract 2.
What's that?
In this case, you could just subtract 2.
No, that's what we call a coincidence, okay? Because 4 divided by 2 and 4 minus 2 just happen to be the same thing, okay? So, we're going to work over here and get one value for x. Minus 5, x equals negative 3. That's one value for x. Over here, minus 5, x equals.
Positive.
Guys, you need to be able to do this without a calculator. What's negative 2 plus negative 5?
It's negative
Three.
7.
Thank you.
Did you just say 3?
No.
Jack, wait, wake up. Okay, you guys don't have to turn around. It's okay. You guys know what it looks like when somebody's sleeping, right? You don't need to keep checking, okay?
Well,
So, x equals negative 3, x equals negative 7. Oh no, 2 x values. Yeah, all we're saying is that in the original equation, 2 times the absolute value of x plus 5 equals 4, both negative 3 will work and make this true, and negative 7 will make it true. Yes.
When I was here, I
Oh,
subtracted
there's just
5,
two
but I
ways
didn't
to
know what
solve
do
it.
This would be checking your answer. They're not, well, what? Okay. Sorry, Jacob, can you say that again?
So when I was at this point, I didn't know what to do, so I just subtracted 5.
You cannot.
I still got the same answer.
So that is because the positive version just happens to be this exact same thing.
So it won't be.
But it's not the exact same thing, it's taking away the absolute value. So if you get that, you've gotten half of the answer. But you also have to get the negative version. And I don't mean that the answer has to be negative, I just mean you have to do the negative version of the absolute value expression. Okay, one more. Hmm? Okay. Well, we have the video, so you can pause and rewind. The last one is 3x minus 6, or I should say the absolute value of 3x minus 6 equals 12. What do I do? I don't care if things are making sounds. What do I do? Yeah. Yes. You write 2 equations. I will start to care if it causes the giggles. I don't care if a phone makes noise. Do you want me to take time out of my teaching to deal with somebody having a phone that's making noise, or can I teach my class? Thank you, good answer. All right, so Angelina just said separate it into 2 equations because we need a positive version of this and a negative. I'll do my positive over here. And Jacob, just like we were saying before, you're right. It's gonna look just like that. So if you go, oh, I know how to solve this, I'll just add 6 and then divide by 3, you'll get half of the answer. Jack, please. Okay, plus 6, we have 3x equals 18. I know I go through that fast, but that's the part that you guys should be good at now. X equals 6. That's the easy one because that's the positive version. Now, do you want to do the shortcut the way the book does it? I'm totally
Yes,
fine with that.
please.
Let's do the shortcut. The negative version, but I want you to I just need you guys to acknowledge and understand that what we're really saying is we need a negative version of this expression. But yes, we can transfer that negative to the other side through the division property of equality, right? Right?
Yeah.
Thanks?
Yes.
I'm starting to think I'm the most boring teacher on the planet over here. Okay, so I can write 3x minus 6 equals what?
Negative 12.
Negative 12. And yes, that's totally fine. You can skip the whole, oh, make the expression negative and then we'll divide by the negative. It's okay. It's okay if you want to skip that step and just show it to be negative 12 plus 6 plus 6. 3x equals negative 6, divide by 3, divide by 3, and you get x equals negative 2. So x equals negative 2, x equals 6, which means plugging in this number here and this number here will both get you the same answer. I am going to actually prove that to you by plugging them back in. If I'm saying that x is negative 2 and 6, sorry, couldn't remember for a second. If I'm saying that x is 2 and negative 6, I'm going to plug them in and prove it. Okay. 3, the absolute value of 3 times, let's start with our negative 2. Negative 2 minus 6 equals 12. solve inside here, multiplication first. 3 times negative 2 is?
Negative 6.
Negative 6. So I have the absolute value of negative 6 minus 6. What is negative 6 minus 6?
Negative 12.
Yeah, negative 12. What's the absolute value of negative 12?
12.
12. We have proven and checked our answer that 2 works. Okay? Now I'm going to plug in my 6. 3 times 6? Thank you. 3 times 6 is 18 minus 6?
Right.
Yeah, 12. What's the absolute value of 12?
12.
Does it work?
Yes.
So do you agree that x has 2 values to make this statement true? Okay, we are good. You guys can pack it up. Lily, can you turn my